Today's episode is brought to you by Mantra Essential Oils. They are on sale right now. Buy one, get one free. So hop on over to mantraoils.com/fearlessandfree and pick up your essential oils today. I've also left the website address in the comments below to make it easy for you to just click and go. My guest is the amazing intuitive reader, psychic medium, and DNA energy worker, Shirley Bolstok. Her parents were both Holocaust survivors. That's not something we hear every day. As an energy healer and medium, Shirley is able to connect with those on the other side. She has been doing readings and energy work for 25 years. Shirley also works with transformation of DNA, which is really important right now, as a bunch of us know we're going through a DNA transformation. She works with intuitive information, past lives, general miasmas, maybe
miasms.
Explain to us what that is. Crossovers, energy clearances, subconscious programming, and understanding our spiritual roots. She has authored several books, including Apples from the Tree of Life, Impassioned Soul, and Grapes from the Vines of Life, and has been a speaker at the 1111 and 1212 Earth Star conferences, and has been a guest on numerous radio shows. Shirley will be sharing with us all about 8 and 72 activations and the new binary codes that she is now working with. Please welcome one of my new friends, Shirley Bolstok.
I have so look forward to this.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Now, for all of you that are watching, I had the pleasure of having an activation with Shirley about a week ago, and it was an amazing experience. And after we were finished, I asked her if she would come on the show. So that's why she's here today, sharing with all of you her gifts and who she is and what she does, and how what she does can make a difference in your life and in the world that we are now creating, this new earth reality we're in the midst of creating. So Shirley, what I'm really curious about is the 8, because I know that your website is Active 8 or something. Can you tell me again really quick what your website is, and then for all of you watching, I'll put that also in the comments below. Your website?
Well, the website still needs a little updating, but I finally got it up. But it is called Activate, and that's ACTIV8E. And I will be getting my shows and a lot of my different events up on that, hopefully this week. And it's a very, very different type of concept. I think I was the first one out of the box with this. So this was a very interesting gift that they gave me. Now, I've been, since 6 years old, I knew I had some abilities. I was able to see spirits. I was able to hear them. I do medium work. I think my first work out of the box was intuitive work and medium work. And then I also became a matrix energetics practitioner, which is the modality I use. One of the things that is so interesting about bringing in frequencies is they work with any modality that you have. So whether you do shamanism, you do Reiki, or you do quantum touch or matrix energetics, they come through with any modality that you use because it's frequency. This is not something that has to be an absolute way of ritual to bring in, but there is an absolute protocol in how the numbers come in. So it's really the numbers that equate to a mathematical equation. These are real mathematical equations. So we might have a number 42 in there, and 42 could be 4 plus 2, 4 minus 2, 4 divided by 2, or 42. It just depends. So I could say 42, 4 plus, 4 minus, 4 times, 4 divided by. And they all mix within the equations in order to produce a particular result. Now, there is a base formula that works with these 8 activations. And the reason I got them was because I had done I did work for an abductee, and he was having a really hard time. And we all agree that sometimes abductees are the hardest to try to get those cords out of them, to try to get the control off of them. I'm sure with your beautiful galactic gifts, that might be a little easier for you. But for a lot of people, they just have a heck of a time. And I got the phone call, and he had been probably abducted most of his life. And by the way, I do find that this is in the ancestry a lot, that people are getting abducted. Their family line have probably been getting it for quite some time. And that is also having to do with DNA. There's usually something in the DNA that their abductors like, because it helps with whatever they're doing to help their hybrids, or it's the most compatible for them, or it has the highest and most shining light that they like. So this can go way back. So another very wonderful point about this type of work is you can clear out the ancestry. And not only of that type of thing, but curses, vows, agreements, blood pacts, those things can travel in generations for thousands of years. This is not just something that's 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. You are looking back to infinite creation. And that's one of the reasons why the Akashic Records are very important in working with this type of work, because you want to set your new timelines, and you want to set the new timeline in the Akashic Records. So what had happened, he was very distraught, and I work with a lot of different energy templates, and I did my thing on him, and it was about, a couple hours. I was bent that we're going to get this. This is going to be great. Felt better, and I got a call back about 3 weeks later. It's back, and I'm like, what do you mean it's back? I practically did everything but ring every bell in the house, grab, everything I knew, called in every wonderful being you could think of, how we do we're going to get this, and we didn't get it. It was back. He was back under their control. He was very despondent, and he basically told me, well, good try. Thanks for giving it your best shot. So I had a fit. Yeah.
So what did you end up doing? Were you able to then have another session with him and take care of it?
Well, basically, because I work with the galactic, many of us are still working with the galactic fleets and the federations. I do too. The Ashtar Command, Commander K of the Galactic, the Federation of Light. We have assorted different councils that we all work with. I tend to work with whoever is showing up for the person. And so I had a tantrum. I said, I don't understand. Because if we have our free will, and we have the right to divine manifestation through our free will in order to create the control of our own lives, then why was this happening? And I couldn't understand it. And what I was told and what I got was, there's access. And I'm like, access? Blaring, what do you mean there's access? They don't have the right to interfere with our free will. They said, well, if there's access, then the illusion becomes part of your free will and you will choose it.
Okay. Which is what's happening with most of humanity all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, and because we're giving permission through television programs and things like that, unconsciously agreeing to have this affect us.
You're absolutely correct.
Right.
And this is what we're seeing, this hypnotic effect with what a lot of people are accepting as their reality, that the illusion becomes absolute truth, or that everything they read becomes their God, See, we're talking about language. Because the language we speak, English, has a lot to do with how our DNA is formed. Most Latin languages have dualities in them. That's not an accident. So Latin languages, the dualities, like in English, master teacher, master slave. Dualities can be turned on us. I'm going to tell you that right now. And there's a reason for those dualities. And why do they call it spelling? Spells. Words are powerful. Our words are powerful because, oh, you dropped something. Oh, I'm such a blah, blah idiot, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe I did that. I am so blah, blah, blah. Those words take effect. They form into, you could call them curses because you just spoke that over yourself. Yeah. They have power, and they really do. So when we have dualities in the English language, there's also loopholes that occur in our numerical system. So what happens in our numerical system, we are in the 3, 6, and 9 frequencies. And Tesla talked about this. A lot of people are talking about the trines. They are so excited about this. You know, we bring in the number 9. You know, this is amazing. The trines working with the number 3, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and a lot of different trines that you hear about. And this is true. Our frequency as the human race runs on 3, 6, and 9. But there is a loophole with that 3, 6, and 9, which I'll come to here in a minute. Where does access get in? So not only does access get in with our own thoughts and what we accept as our reality, or what we believe is the written word that absolutely resonates to us as absolute reality, understand that what we're reading right now is very, very controlled by many different sides. And when you become so into your computers and so into your phones, and in a tech age, this is going to happen. We're very reliant on them. Then the information we bring in, this is the majority of where we look for it, instead of just opening books and reading them and kind of getting our ideas. What starts to happen is our source of information, especially our frequencies, are coming in through the computers and through our phones. And believe me, they are coming in. They're coming in through the satellites that are being projected. What starts to happen is you start to accept your computers and your phone as some type of God in your life. It is your source of information. This is where you look for everything. This is where you look for your communications and where you look to connect with people. And as these frequencies are pouring in and these different dualities are being brought in, along with higher frequencies that we may not detect, or subliminals that may be going on in the background that we subconsciously, don't detect, but they are influencing us, then what happens is the electronic God takes over our life. Yeah. And it becomes God to us. Yeah. And then you have something like the collider, which you know about. I love your thoughts on this before I go on, Victoria.
So what I was thinking as you were talking, I started saying about probably like 10 years ago that Google has more power than God these days. It used to be that people would pray and ask for an answer. Now they just Google, and Google provides instant manifestation. So yeah, that it's basically become a God.
Yes, it has. So you know what? We should call it Goddle. Let's look Goddle. It'll give us the answer. But you could even get your own tarot reading.
And all Goddle, the information that's brought in is controlled information, more than it used to be. So when Google first started, you Google anything and you knew that you'd get answers. And it used to be that once it's on the internet, it's always on the internet. Once it's on Google, it's always on Google. And that's not the case anymore. Or I've had articles that I used to research that they're just gone. They are wiped. So when Google first came out, it was a great resource for being able to do research. But now it is controlled and filtered just like all the other media. Yeah.
Absolutely true. It's what we want you to know, what we want you to know, and what we want you to accept as your reality. Now, one of the things I do want to bring up is the culture of narcissism. which has become very prevalent through the tech world. It's always been there, but now the tech world maybe can expand on that quite a bit. And I believe that narcissism is the original artificial intelligence. That was the first thing that took the place of the God I am of love, a God of conditions, an angry God, a God of judgment, a God that will strike you, a God, if you don't believe the right things, then you are of the devil, or you are evil, or you new agers. How dare you believe that you are God manifest, and you don't understand that there's a real God, blah, blah, blah. But this gets twisted. There is definitely a God I am, a God of love, and that God I am also exists within us. This is
right. So one of the things that I know and have explained to people is that it's almost like there's two gods. In the Bible, there's two gods, and people have no idea they're following the false God, because the God of love will never ask its children to murder its other children.
That is correct.
And so we follow these ancient texts that are unknowingly worshiping the wrong God.
You know, there's probably been about 500 rewrites of those texts.
Yeah.
At least 500 rewrites.
And they've been manipulated to get humanity to follow the false God, to follow the God of false light.
Well, think of the Constantinople, when they had the conferences in Constantinople, they took a lot of books out of the Bible. And what I have understood is a lot of those books were the ones that talked about more metaphysical type of work.
Oh, the Council of Nicaea. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's when they took Christianity and molded it into Catholicism. And yes. Catholicism Catholic actually means universal. So they intentionally created a universal religion. And that's why there's so much, and don't recognize it, but there's actually a lot of Satanism that's written into Christianity that very few people even know it's there, because of the way that it's been sold to humanity.
Well, think about it. A lot of the pagan gods and goddesses were made saints so people would convert.
Yeah. And the paganism was written into Christianity. Christmas is on Saturnalia for a reason. They took the existing paganist beliefs and just intermix them with the teachings of Christ. And so the teachings are very convoluted. It's really difficult to actually find his actual teachings because they're so convoluted with what was created during the Council of Nicaea. And the metaphysical stuff taken out of the Bible, except for stories like, the Joseph with his coat of many colors and his ability to interpret dreams. There, some of that New Age stuff and metaphysical stuff is in the Bible, but not in a lot of it. It's been taken out or rewritten so that people don't recognize it.
That's absolutely true. And it's meant to keep people in control, to keep them in a controlled environment. And really, if you think about it, we have the same issue with metaphysics. A lot of people will believe that all reptilians are like the devil, or they will believe that all the human race is the God race, or, that this starts to translate into everything. So I'm going to reach in here. I'm going to get something. This is my magic wand. You like it, Victoria?
How much I like rainbows.
Here it is. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
All right, so here's what I want to show you. Got it? A magnet. And I'm going to show you why 1 is a dual number and why 1 is mutable. This is a magnet. If I cut this into all these pieces on these colors, you're still going to have polarity and attraction. You're still going to have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Polarity and attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Polarity and attraction. This is like the number 1. This is the number 1. This is what it represents. Mm-hmm. Connects to everything. So it's either going to connect or it's going to repel, but this is going to connect to it, right? So this is how we're accepting our truths. And if we really think about it, we have been on opposite sides of the same grid. We've made one or the other the enemy, and one or the other the savior. Doesn't matter. You know. So what happens is the belief systems, this is what's being played on us. It's the same grid polarity. Number one encompasses all manifestation because number one is in everything. Number one is in everything. 0 point is somebody was looking around saying, I want to create this cute little toy that has all kinds of rainbow colors in it. And that thought wasn't 0 point. It was building from the ground up. It is creation, 0 point. And
so what is 0 point? That's a term I hear a lot, but I don't quite understand what it means.
Can't wait to show you.
Okay.
So what we got is 0 point, point of nutricity, the point of creation, the point where all things of consciousness are created from. The first act of God was creation. And so God came through the divine finger of God is 0 point frequency. This is a bicycle spoke. Okay. Which if I had a real one, I'd probably do a better demo, but we're going to go this way. I'm going to rub it on this end.
Okay.
Maybe north. Let's go to the south end. What? Stick it right here in the point of nutricity, and it's not connecting to here or here, but it's got both poles on it. Because I got it right here in the middle. I got it right here in the middle. And if I were to turn it, it might connect more to this, or turn it this way, it might connect more to this. But right here, you have your point of nutricity. This is the point of creation, right here. This is in the middle of the number one manifestation. It is the point of nutricity and duality. That is 0 point frequency.
Okay.
This is where the wave collapses. You can actually collapse the wave into 0 point and then recreate from there.
Okay.
Now so this brings up a point that we have seen Celtic crosses. And most Celtic crosses have, the cross, the square in the middle, and the 0 point. This is also a Zuni cross. And I wanted people to keep in mind, this is not just a religious symbol. The Star of David was a Merkabah, and it was around way before it became the Star of David. Yeah. Symbols become adopted, and they become part of their symbolism. Just like our logos, this is my logo, this is my symbol, the heart, the heart representing love, a point of meeting right here with this circle, this type of thing. So when you have a circle that connects 0 point, well, it's got both polarities as well, because it's connecting. So it now has attraction and polarity within it, and no matter how you turn it, it's going to spin, and it's going to spin both directions. That is the vacuum. This is what we call 0 point frequency. 0 point frequency, and in 0 point frequency, it is a spin in both directions, and it is a point of creation. And it sits in the middle, not pushing the number one, but it sits in the middle of number one to create on both ends. Sometimes Sasquatch come into my reads, and they like to do this to my nose. I do work for the Sasquatch. They're saying hello. They're here.
So is our goal, if you will, for each of us to come to that 0 point where we're always in the point of creation, because let's say the powers that be, the energies that be, want to pull us into polarity in this present fear-based reality we live in, right? They're constantly trying to pull us into polarity. Our consciousness, our soul's consciousness, wants to pull us into 0 point where we're constantly creating in neutrality, correct?
I think that we need to celebrate both. Now, so this is going to get into my activations and how they work, and why I was given the number 8. So also, a 0 twisted is a number 8. This is where you get your endless loop of infinity, but there's an axis point in the middle. That is also a point of nutricity within the 0 point. That is something to really gauge when you're thinking about it, why the 8 is also so important. So let's get into 0 point frequency. Now, obviously, a point in neutricity, to stay in that point in neutricity is going to be very difficult because we have to live in our manifestation. So this is how we're going to look at a Zuni cross and a Celtic cross. When we've got things coming in, we often view spirituality with a hierarchy. Up higher, 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 higher. I really like to know what is the highest place in that hierarchy. How high can we go? And no matter what, everyone is saying, I want to go higher.
Right.
What is higher? What does that look like? And is it better than lower? Well, what if we turn that upside down? Now lower looks like higher. Oh my God. Now what have we done? We've inverted the star. No, the star's going to go this way. No, it's going to go that way. Oh no. What are we going to do with this? This is an illusion. Hierarchy is an illusion, folks. It does not exist except in our heads because we always want to go higher, better, greater. And it's okay to do that with our goals, but understand about what happens with God's source and God energy. It goes this way and this way. Everything comes back in a God source. Once it gets in a God source, it goes in a 0 point and goes back into a point of creation. This is where our souls. This is our souls. This is why we're remanifesting our lives, different aspects of our lives, different new teachings, things that we are absorbing, but in everything, it's the God of love. So here it is, folks. You take a mirror inside a mirror inside a mirror. Ever done that as a kid? And you're thinking, this is great. Look, it's infinity. Now, I invite you to take that mirror inside of mirrors, and guys, I want you to shave inside of that. And ladies, I want you to put on your makeup, and everyone brush your teeth, and chances are your eyeliner will go up past your forehead. Men will start shaving their chest. There is no way that you can look in all those images and create, because they are coming into all these different timelines in infinity. We have to bring something into one image, or we can't experience it. It becomes a mishmash. But when we go into other timelines, and maybe we go into a space outside of our physical density, we might be able to experience those timelines and understand that often happens in the afterlife, why so much information is so available to folks. Okay, so on the grid of the cross, this back and forth, right and left, is our timelines of life, where we experience our different lives, past, present, and future. They're all sitting right there. Okay, on the bottom, I'm going to call that inversion, where everything sits in form. Okay, and form is the object in the light. The object in the light creates a shadow. And when you've got that shadow, it could create density. And this is what we call informed. Now, this could be fear, it could be anger, it could be emotional, it could be a real object in the light. It could be many, many things. It could be our belief systems. It could be lots of things. So in that shadow, we can create more and more consciousness, and that shadow becomes darker. And that object in the light becomes more pronounced. And most people are trying to work with the shadow to lighten it, and they can't understand why it is not going away. Okay, so this is in form. We are working in form. And so this is what I call inversion. On the top is what we call ascension. This is the ethers. This is fluid. This is love. Anything that works without form. And it's not the point of creation. It's all that's available to creation is in ascension. Now, if you want to take something out of form, maybe somebody has a disease that is bothering them. This is a template that you can work with. You could take it out of form. Another, look at the consciousness that created it. Look at all the belief systems, maybe. You bring it up into God's source. That's that square in the middle. God's source, number 1. Then bring it into 0 point frequency, point of creation, up into the ethers where all is available. You get what you want to create, bring it back into God's source, to number 1, and then bring it back into 0 point, spin it, go into 0 point, create what you want. It goes back into God's source, where it goes back into creation, God, number 1, and then it comes back out into your divine timeline of your experience, where you have changed things, and now you're experiencing a new part of your life.
So does it then go down into form as well? So then it changes form?
Nope. It all goes this way.
Okay.
This template of what you would call a Celtic cross goes this way into God's source, this way into God's source, and this way into God's source. All things go back into God at all times. You will never get away from God's source.
Right. So but what I was wondering is if because form, if that disease, for example, is created in form and you change it, does it then change that in form? Can you remove it from form?
It will bring it back into a new form in order to be experienced in your life.
That's absolutely. Yeah, that's what I wanted the clarification on.
Absolutely. Okay. But what also happens if you take that object out of the light, that shadow disappears and all the consciousness that was within it disappears. And then it is as though it never existed in the first place.
Right. Cool.
So here's the premise of the 8 activations that we're getting to. And then I would love you to talk about what you experienced yourself when we did it. So here we go. The number 8. How do we get that number 8 into that 3, 6, and 9? Well, we got a bit of a quandary. So when I had a tantrum, kind of yelled at him, I don't understand. How is it that you guys cannot accept that we are not supposed to bring in the illusion as a reality if it is something that fights against our divine will? If we wish to ascend and we want to understand our ascension, understand the God of love, how is it that this illusion becomes so powerful in form? Now, one of the things that I want you to understand, or want our listeners to understand, is that every number has its own vibrational frequency and its own form. 33 Christ. 33 Mason, degrees in Mason. The Nazis used the number 88, and they knew the power of the 8. Oh, this is great. We got the 88. But the 88 was used in its form. You see, for all numbers to go into fluid, or what you would call the ultimate God of love being number 1, is that all numbers need to go back into number 1 to create their ultimate and greatest power of manifestation. So what we do with these particular activations is we bring them back to number 1. How do we do that? Well, through real mathematical formulas. For instance, we could do it this way. 8 times 8 is 64. 6 plus 4 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. Right there, the 88 is taken out of form and into number 1. Okay? And then it's brought back into its greatest power of fluid. Okay, 3, 6, and 9. Wonderful. The 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Plus 9 is 27. 2 plus 7 equals 9. And it goes on and on. This is the return of consciousness. And may I remind that if you take what's in the object in the light away, the shadow itself disappears that was created from it. It's like it never existed in the first place. We are living our stories and bringing consciousness into stories. And then if the stories are not something good for us, we will empower them and give them to our future creations. Isn't that wonderful? Or our future children. And then we will also send them back and change our DNA to our ancestries. Oops. Okay. We don't want to create this because it could change the whole nature of what we were created for in the first place. So, number 1 and 9. 1 divided by 9 equals 0.111111. And I have a friend who makes fun of me. He says it's my star language. I go 1111111. So he laughs at me and does that. But it is. It's 11111. 1 divided by 9 is 0.11111. Forward and backwards, folks. 1 goes both directions. Doesn't matter. Turn that grid around. It don't matter. So, great. Let's divide that by 9 again. And guys, please put this sideways on your phones if you're going to check this out, because it'll round out. Okay, 1 divided by 9 is 0.1111111. Divided by 9 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. What the? You see a little problem in this sequence.
The 8 is missing.
That's the first thing that was said to me a week later. The 8 is missing. What? The 8's missing. That's the problem. That was the first thing I was given, that the 8 was missing, and that's where there was access. So you understand that in our congruency, we have to embody the numerical system and the number ones, and everything exists within our DNA. Everything, all numbers exist there. But if you got a loophole in there, because we've embodied the 3, 6, and 9, and it's not wrong. It's this is what the humans were created on that frequency. It created a loophole between that 7 and the 9. And because we have to have a congruency, a false connection or a full connection occurred between the 7 and the 9, and it became an access point where you could bring in all kinds of belief systems into your reality as absolute truth. And we may use our free will to say, I don't want this. And then if that free will gets violated, then there's an access point where it can come in, just like I got heard. Thanks for trying. I guess they got me forever. This is my reality, you know. And it does not mean that, oh, I want this team to win, or I want this president to win, or that kind of thing. This is my free will. Make it happen, you know, because a lot of us are rooting for our teams, and there's all kinds of consciousness going in, and this is our belief systems, but access points are a problem. We have to.
So 8 is the infinity symbol.
Yes.
So what's missing is infinity? I'm essentially.
What's missing is divine manifestation that goes with our free will. Because that infinity loop is our divine manifestation with an access point within it. That's what we've got. And I may have something here that might help. I'm going to bring this up.
So then, do you bring the 8 back in and activate it, and that closes the loop?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you how it's done. It's really
easy. It closes the loop whole. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have to bring the 8 back in. Okay, and of course that was my first question. How do I bring that in? How do I bring that back? How do we bring the 8 in? Well, the divine 72. 7 plus 2 equals 9. We've heard of the 72 names of God. We've heard that we see a lot of crop circles with 72, and it greatly represents the beautiful of our creation, right? 72. If you times 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 times 72, you get 0.88888888. That's number 1. Okay. Yeah. And if 72 divided by 9 equals 8, that's your mutable of 8 and 9 right there working together. And if you divide 8 divided by 72, so 8 divided by 72, so 72 divided by 9 is 8. 8 divided by 72 equals 0.111111111. That is the base of every activation that I do. Okay. It brings the 8 back in. It kicks out the illusion. It brings it in its rightful place. It brings in infinity with an access point. It brings in the power of the number 8. And now we are able to bring everything back into number 1 in its greatest power. And we are now able to bring in our greatest and divine manifestation of creation that God gave us. And we have a choice of what we want to accept.
So what I'm hearing is that by bringing the 8 back in, we're basically booting the illusion out.
We're booting, it kicks out the illusion as our reality. Now, we can accept what we want our reality to look like. We could believe still everything we read. We could you know, understand things differently, that we bring in a reality, which is okay. But now we have free will at its greatest in order to choose.
Okay.
When I ran back and I ran to the phone, of course, the minute I got these, and I had to hold the vibration in me first. That took some doing. It wasn't easy getting these. But now I've got them. And this is first one out of the box. And now I have somebody in Canada, Tina Thomas, who is amazing. And she's now doing them. And also teaching Adriana Sage in Denver is also picking them up, and she's phenomenal. And what's neat is you could get these 8 activations from all 3 of us, and they would still be different because we all have different modalities we work with. This works with anything.
So this is something that other people who already have their spiritual gifts, this would be an additional tool in their toolbox, so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. It is a great tool in your toolbox that brings in divine manifestation, and it brings in everything you have stronger. It really does. And I called him. I gave him an activation. He called me 3 weeks later and said, it never happened again. Because see, what I saw happening is they threw a holographic body of information, almost like, see, the 1111 is our soul mapping, because God is within us and we are a part of God. And they brought in a holographic body of information. I saw it, and it entered him, and it changed his physical DNA. And then he was back under their control. So after the activation, I saw it again. They saw that they had lost control. I don't know who these bad guys were. I'm not going to name anybody, So they threw their holographic body of information back into him, and the 8 kicked it out. The illusion, they could not access him or change his physical DNA anymore to get him under control. He called me and he said, I'm free.
Well, it's interesting. What I'm hearing is, damn, we lost another one.
Darn number 8. Got it. Yeah. And here's something interesting. The galactics are the ones who activate these. They come in with their ships, past, present, and future, all time and space, because they understand this. I cannot ask for a more amazing gift with this. And any of us could do that. Any of us. But you have to hold the reference inside of you. You have to hold that vibration, or it's going to be tough. See, if somebody stole all my numbers and just read them off, they won't honor them.
Good. No.
Yeah.
It would just be numbers.
Yeah, just be numbers. Although it might do some good, if you actually were to, play with these, you might feel a change inside of you. Certainly could. But they bring them in past, present, and future, and they activate them. And everyone's galactic councils, or their different types of DNA that come in, their ancestors come in, and a lot of times their galactic councils come in. And let me tell you, 9 being the return of consciousness, a vow or a curse even 5,000 years ago could affect you today. Have you ever seen that people get healed or something happens and they keep rubber banding back and forth? This is usually the issue, and you can clear that out completely. You take consciousness out of something, you take that object out of the light as though it never existed in the first place, and then you bring in a new form. You change the Akashic records, you change the timelines, you change your offspring. It's all transmuting, it's all transformation. Now it's still up to us, it's not the cure-all, but I'll tell you something. There's no such thing as a cure, but our perception of it. It gives us the power back to us to divinely manifest and use our free will in its greatest form. And so it's very powerful work. And so I may be the first sprinkler that goes off, but there's going to be many watering the ground. So.
Yeah.
But what did you think when we did these activations for you?
Now, for me, because I've already done so much work, and already very much in tune with the Galactic Federation and non-physical beings, and a direct connection with God's source. It might have affected me a little bit differently, but if I recall, I asked for help to assist me in activating a specific thing. So I wasn't expecting all of the clearing that you did. I'm constantly clearing. I clear myself. I clear my field. I clear my timelines. I'm very active in maintaining uh, clarity across all of my timelines and dimensions and all of that. I'm very conscious of all of that. But you took it to a whole new level I wasn't expecting. And at one point, it almost felt like an out of body experience. My whole body was buzzing, and and to go back through those different lifetimes, you actually pinpointed very specific things in a bunch of different timelines that I hadn't even considered. So for me, I know that I have a very old soul. My soul's been around for millions of human years, if you will. And I hadn't had a lot of recollection of life experiences, but you pinpointed a bunch of them that I hadn't even considered before. And that was really cool. And then the experience of going in and actually extracting some of the negative elements of those life experiences, that I almost immediately felt a shift of those no longer existing. So I use the term cellular memory. So that the soul itself carries, in the same way that the body has cellular memory, the soul has cellular memory, and the soul carries those memories from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And the experience I got from that is that you went in and you pulled the negative memory, the negative aspect of those memory of those lifetimes. So the memory still exists, but the pain associated with those memories doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I don't think you could have described it better. For me, I'm probably going to have to steal that from you.
No, cellular is mine. You can't have it.
Sure, dark on it. No, you got the point of it exactly.
Yeah, and I didn't understand all the numbers you were running because you were doing we're doing all these numeric calculations. I didn't understand them, but I trust that what you were doing was what was right and what was best for me, and that you brought in all of these different galactic councils that are working with me specifically and brought them into the conversation was unexpected and truly delightful. I got to experience their voices, not necessarily their language, but the vibration of each one of these groups, and feeling so tremendously loved.
That's what it all boils down to, doesn't it? To be able to receive that love. I could also say you look beautiful, you look radiant, and your eyes are just beautiful. These activations do. The 8 activations actually change eye color on a lot of people. It's and the beautiful, brilliant blue in your eyes, and the clarity is amazing. Yes.
Yeah, they are definitely more blue than they were.
Mm-hmm. I've seen brown eyes go green. They often get the blue rims around them. I've seen iridescent. I've seen stars appear in eyes. There was one time when brown did turn to blue. But I can honestly say that the activation that we did for you was one of the most astounding experiences I've been able to have. And it was such an honor to work with you, and such an honor to bring such to work with such an amazing ascended being as yourself. And really, if there was a true test of these activations, it was to be able to work with you, because you are so evolved and ascended that for me, it was like, oh my goodness, what an honor that I get to work with you. So it was a very incredible, amazing experience on my end as well, working with you. So I definitely want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Gratefully received. Okay, what are miasmas?
Miasms?
Yes. What are miasms?
The spell check really messed that up to create a whole new word. We'll just have to infiltrate it with some new consciousness. What are miasms? I'll tell you this. Even in the afterlife, we can take resonation of our life into the afterlife. Guess what? Everything's vibrational. And you've seen that, you've seen it where people might get stuck, or there might be private universes they get caught in, or, this type of thing. I'm going to give you an example that a gal I worked with, there was early deaths of the male and her family, and it had been going on for centuries. I mean, they had this documented even in their family tree. And she was very disturbed by this because she was worried that her brother was going to die very young. And I could see that there was even freaky accidents that were happening. So the ancestry being affected by this curse of some kind, kept dying. It kept dying off at these young ages, even where things seemed to be, one of them, a tractor just seemed to start itself and run the guy over. I mean, just weird stuff, So obviously the ancestry showed up, and they all had a resonation of some kind of this curse or something. And what I knew is chances were they were going to probably either come back in the family, or they were going to come back trying to shake this into a new life. And there was very probable they were going to bring it in and have many lives dying young, this type of thing. Consciousness is consciousness. So it doesn't just pertain to us in the physical, it can pertain in the esoteric and the emotional as well. We could also have emotional deaths, but believe me, we can create emotions are powerhouses. And this is what's being accessed right now to build our different realities. But if you look at our realities that are being built, they're often infused with a type of emotion, being fear or anger or, this type of thing. So what had happened is all the ancestors lined up that I could see that had died, and they were waiting to be cleared. See, this is when you clear an ancestry behind a person, and when you clear past lives also and I call them parallel lives because all time is space at once. You could call them past lives, but truth is we're all living it right now. And karma is an overrated game. We're looking at ascension. What are we going to do with karma? I kill you, you kill me, you kill me, I kill you, I kill him. I mean, how much of this hamster wheel do we really want? And so when you've got this kind of resonation, I had to go back to the creation of this curse. Now, the first thing I did was went to clear it. I went to neutralize it. Not clear, neutralize. And when you neutralize it, you want to harmonize timelines as well. Harmonization is important. But what had happened was, what we could see was the woman who originated the curse is because one of their ancestors killed her son. And so she cursed the family line of the males, almost like what you see in the Bible with Moses, this type of thing. Let's take the first males, and and God had literally, had to neutralize this out, or you would have seen generations of the first males destroyed. These things are that powerful. Well, it kept gaining consciousness as each male died early. The consciousness became stronger, the shadow became darker, and the consciousness repeating that number 9, repeating miasms. And it keeps going and going and going. And this can happen from diseases you might have had 3 lives ago. I had died of tuberculosis in a life and still had symptoms later, I could feel it. It's amazing how things carry on. And because all time is space at once, you can pick that stuff up. You got to neutralize it out. It's got to go. Otherwise, it's like carrying a bag. Let's stuff this bag. Oh my God, I need a bigger bag, and let's stuff that. And oh my God, I need a bigger bag. This is the spiritual George Carlin. You get more stuff, and you get a bigger bag, and you get a house full of, you stuff it and more. So this is what we do to our spiritual houses. It becomes a problem. So this woman was so hurt, and she forgave the ancestor. Probably cleared her line as well. She forgave the ancestor. And then we were able to neutralize all of it. And I could see this resonation just leave. And I could see that they were free. They were free. And it also helped her forgiveness, who came to me, because she couldn't understand why her anger was becoming so huge, And so we cleared 2 lines probably doing that. And unforgiveness can carry, and anger can carry in generation after generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the DNA. The blood is a record keeper. You think the blood isn't powerful? It's all in the blood, folks. Esoterically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, it's all in the blood, folks. We've got it there. And sure enough, they're just free. Her brother, I knew, was free and was not going to die that early death. This is an example of clearing miasms. Mm. Another example was clearing, neutralizing the tuberculosis out of the consciousness of it, even though it had happened, out of that lifetime, because I was noting all kinds of respiratory issues in my life. And all kinds of, I had like bronchitis and pneumonia at age 6, and things just kept repeating. So things out of past lives were also repeating in mine. Mm. You could deal with the same person over and over again. And let me tell you, watch out with some of those soul connections, folks. I feel such a strong connection. I know we're meant to be together. Well, that might be the person who cut your throat in the last life. Well, watch out. And now you're trying to clear it. This is why you feel such a strong draw to this person. Find out what that connection's all about, because some connections you do not want to entertain. You really don't. Because what you'll have is all the same pain all over again. Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced that.
Part of what you do then, you clear people's karma.
In a way.
What we would call karma. Yeah.
Yeah, you keep the lesson, the thing happened, but the consciousness, the emotional bodies, the physical bodies, and the mental bodies are what is embodied in that karma. You're absolutely right.
So you don't have to keep repeating the same lesson over and over and over and over again.
No, you've learned it. How many times do you have to get that? But that's the problem with that repeat of consciousness, that number 9. I think Lennon got it. Number 9. That's the repeat of consciousness. And it comes in, and people are yelling, when am I going to learn this lesson? Well, probably have. But you got to get that consciousness out of there. Got it. And neutralization is key. Now, I don't want people frightened and say, oh my God, the 8 activations are the only way I'm going to clear this out. Listen, we all can work with neutrality. We all can. This is an amazing way to kick out the illusion and get divine manifestation, but we can all work with neutrality, neutricity. Mm-hmm. That point of, and neutrality does not mean impartial. In this case, it is a point of 0, which is not with attraction or polarity. And if you keep turning that, around, and I'm going to show you a grid that was given to me. Maybe your viewers can see this. Oh, yeah. Oh, look, it's moving on you, isn't it? Look at that. You've got really the number 8 with an axis point in the middle of it. If you look at it, you've got 0 point frequency. This is an 8 grid that was given to me for manifestation. All those intersecting lines, those are your past lives and your generationals, that are in there. And look at all these timelines, that you can work with. And this square can fit in one of those little squares. And you look at all those access points of intersection. Mm-hmm. We can work with all of those.
So when you work with one, you're
working
with all of them.
See, okay. You see this? Looks the same, doesn't it? Looks the same. Looks the same. And if you were to reverse this and turn it inside out, it would look the same. It doesn't matter. If you look at the works of Walter Russell, talks a lot about this. The works of Walter Russell are very, very important. So, you look at the different patterns that you can work with even within a grid. So any and all, and I'm going to pull this out of my deal, any and all geometric forms are within that grid. All of them.
So what I was also seeing with that, and Spirit gave me this message years ago, that that was the one, the singularity, and the polarity, I guess. But soul line, goal line, that gets used a lot too. But I was also seeing an asterisk, which is 8 points. It's 8.
You are so observant. You got it. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
And that expands. So it holds also the 88. The
Mm-hmm.
number 80, 8 plus 0 is 8. And the 72, the divine 72 is in there because 9, 9 times 8 is 72. So all the 8s are in there, and they hold all, and the number 1 is in there. So this grid really, really works, doesn't it? And I'm going to hold it for a minute. If your viewers, I'm going to get out of the way. See me. Okay, hiding. If your viewers want to take a picture of this, I'm going to hold it for just a moment.
Okay.
And I know they're running for their cameras or whatever, or taking a picture, and I'll just hold it just a little bit.
Well, and they can replay. They can replay the video as well if they need to go back and pause it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really interesting. Really interesting. And I heard that before, that when you clear the, I call it ancestral work, but it's the same kind of thing where you can go back into your ancestry. So I have done that forgiveness work before with people, where we go back to the ancestors and apply forgiveness, and you can actually heal that family relationship even with someone who's already passed. So you're taking that idea to a whole new level of being able to clear it across all of those lifetimes and all of those timelines all at once, even without having to pinpoint specific individuals within that. And so that karma, or that
consciousness, I like
consciousness, yeah, is a better word for it, gets cleared from the past and present. So as we clear it in the past and the present, and we clear it for our own children and for future posterity as well. So our children and grandchildren don't repeat the lessons of the past.
Yeah, because the consciousness is there. And I'm going to show you just one more thing from Walter Russell. Do you see the 3-dimensional version of that? Yeah, yeah, that really works. And the thing that's so phenomenal with this, Victoria, is your work is already so powerful. Now it's even more powerful. And I think that you probably look like a comet coming in, when he's on the amazing work that you do. And you've already work a lot with this type of work. And just think now how much more amazing this is, but you are the one who's manifesting, and you're the one who's bringing in the work. And yes, you've got a really nice, put that 8 in your tool belt, and it's really working for you. And I can't wait to hear updates of some of the incredible work that I know that you're going to be doing and are doing. And it already enhanced all the work you have done. So that's the very, very cool thing about these particular type of activations.
Well, I'm super excited to be sharing this with my subscribers, and yeah, and I'll be forwarding your information too in my newsletters and things, which I think is really important in this world that we're creating. We're creating a world of cooperation. Yes. So I'm sharing this information forward because I believe so much in it. Just like the person who shared you with me. She was so excited about your work that she said, I had to see you.
She is amazing too.
Yeah, and Kathy knows every magical person on the planet. I swear, she knows everybody.
She's got them in all her hats.
So for her to be that excited about your work, I knew that I needed to connect with you. And that's the reason I brought you on here, because I'm so excited about your work.
I'm very honored. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're here to be a much bigger presence on the planet than you have been. And
I'm definitely going to accept that. Thank you. That's the goal.
Yes.
That's a goal.
So I thank you for being here and for sharing your amazing gifts with the world. And I look forward to the next time we meet, because I know that you and I are not complete.
Oh, no, there's so much more to share. And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah.
This has been fun, and it's been great.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for watching. And again, I will have Shirley's contact information in the comments below. And please look her up and connect with her. And be patient, because she doesn't always get back to you right away, but be patient, because she will get back to you. I think she's just a very busy soul. So thank you so much. Thank you all. And as always, get bold, be courageous, and live free.
Yes.